The Wellness Show, episode 129.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyhson Banighen, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. So welcome to the show, and this afternoon we're talking to Bonita Summers, and she's a very interesting coach in that she arrives at things much differently than other people. And so I'm really excited to talk to you about the different ways that you approach the whole area of coaching. So how is it that you are unique anyway?
Well, the term I use to describe myself, Tyhson, is a psychic life and business coach. So what makes me different?
What a combination. A psychic business coach is sort of an unusual mix. So right there, it's you're a rare, strange bird. So you were psychic from birth, right?
Yes. I believe we all are. I just grew up in a family where that was normal. So my grandmother was a medium in England. My mother was psychic. You know, it's just run through the line of the family. So in my family, it wasn't suppressed. I think in most families, children are born with their abilities intact, but they look to their parents to frame reality for them. And if a child notices a red color around Uncle Fred's head and comments on it, he might hear, "Oh, don't be so silly," or "Oh, you have such an imagination." And they learn to shut it down because their parents are saying this isn't real. I didn't grow up with that. I'd run downstairs and go, "Mom, I heard the voices again. Mom, I saw this." And she'd be like, "That's nice, dear."
Well, you are very fortunate.
Yes.
Right? The whole group working as empaths that, have tried to fit in all their lives because nobody could believe that when they were telling what was actually going on with them, or, like people's eyes would roll in the back of their head, or, it wasn't, "That's nice, dude." People would just cold right out. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We're all born with this. Certainly, I'm hearing that the new children coming through are all 12 strands of DNA is activated. So all of this is running. This is just second nature to them. So we grew up at a time where our parents just weren't ready for us.
Yeah, well, we're moving into a new era that was activated with the whole, 2012 phenomenon. And those children are set up to be wired for that. I think there is a purpose, though, for those of us who are straddling the two eras, who were still born in the era of fear and competition, and we're moving into a heart-centered era of community. That those of us straddling the two often end up in the position of coaching people to help them move from the one to the other, because we know what it is to be stuck in both realms. And I work a lot with empaths to help them understand their abilities and turn it into a strength instead of a weakness. And I get people from all walks of life, including military, homemakers, medical professionals, teachers, students, coming to me saying, "I know something's going on and I don't understand what it is, but it's like something in them has been woken up and some parts of their life don't fit anymore." So I help them understand that. And I work with empaths who struggle being in environments where there's a lot of people and they're absorbing everybody's emotions. And I help them learn how to channel universal energy into their field and pool it around them so that other people moving into their field get their emotions stabilized. So it ends up then, instead of my clients saying, "I need to quit my job because it's making me crazy feeling everybody's emotions," now they learn how to create a peaceful environment, and everybody wants to work with them because they don't know what it is about them, but they just feel better being around them. So once people learn how to manage their own energy fields, it can dramatically transform their work and their personal experience.
We're obviously buddy coaches because that's exactly what I do too. So that's really exciting. So, and I agree with you. This is a time of collaboration. This is a time of group process. This is a time of learning how to work together. So it's an exciting time because what used to work doesn't work anymore, especially for the empath. I think that's probably the most difficult thing is the old world order of how you showed up and ran a business and also made money. For empaths, just doesn't work. Or it's not like you're not allowed to use that anymore. It just won't produce the results. So are you finding that true yourself?
Well, the interesting approach that I take to it, and I do have a background as a university administrator, editor of a national workplace magazine. I've been a journalist, a freelance writer. I've worked in software. I've worn a lot of hats that help inform when I'm working with people in the corporate world. And a lot of the way I look at it is whether you're working for another company where you're dealing with certain patterns there that you need to work through internally to make you effective in the workplace. I see entrepreneurship as a spiritual path because you're really bringing yourself to the business. So if you have subconscious patterns about not deserving, not feeling worthy, you're going to pull your energy back. And then when you're trying to make connections, some of you is not showing up and it makes it harder for you to be successful in your business. So I work with businesses on a number of levels. I help entrepreneurs understand their subconscious patterns, holding them back from being successful. I help businesses with hiring practices. I've been involved in merger decisions because I'm able to help them understand the work styles and personalities of the people that they're working with or who are working for them, and making sure that they understand the patterns they're working with so they can deal with them effectively. So
what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. I ran a nonprofit charitable organization since 1975, and I always felt that if I put as much energy into a business as I did into a charity, I'd be a multimillionaire. Well, that's all right on one level, but on another level, like you said, I think the greatest spiritual challenge for anybody is to become an entrepreneur. Because you really are going to be confronted with those parts of yourself that need to be dealt with. And so it's been a real challenge for me to come into the truth of who I am and be at the resonant frequency that I want to attract the high-end clients that I want to work with. So I think that your area that you're working in is very exciting. So I'm wondering, how aware do your clients need to be about this other aspect of who you are, the psychic ability? Is it just that they need to understand that you can understand the energy of how they are to work with their employees or how to work through problems? Is that the level you're doing with, or are you really doing other things other than that, using your psychic gifts?
Well, the beauty of having the corporate background is I'm able to draw on my personal experience in various workplaces to assist my clients. But when people come to me, they often only have a sense that I'm the person they're supposed to see. And by my tapping into their subconscious, the first thing we get is their subconscious sets the tone for the session. It tells us what they most need to know right now. And then from there, I take questions. And I work in a number of ways. I tap into the energy field and I feel what's going on. I get emotions, visions, messages, physical impressions. I work with the cards. I can see the chakra system. So I can look at each chakra and tell them what I see. So I'm kind of a one-stop psychic shop. But what people find who come to me is, instead of spending maybe a dozen sessions with a business coach, I've had people say that I've gotten them further in one session than a dozen or months or years of counseling or coaching. And I think that's because when we go to a conventional counselor or coach, there's a lot of talking and asking questions to finally getting to what the subconscious patterns are. I get there in 5 minutes because it's just a direct connection with the subconscious, and off we go. And I give them tools to work with, and I always invite people to record their sessions with me. And some people tell me they listen to them over and over again because there's so many takeaways. So people come to me for information, they get concrete tools, and my attitude is, the more you see me, the less you should need me, because if people are interested, I'll teach them how to use their own psychic abilities so they can learn to tap their own inner wisdom and trust their own decision making and make better decisions by freeing up more of the parts of them buried in the subconscious, bring them to consciousness and integrate them so they have more energy, more clarity, and quite frankly, more presence. So if they go to an event, people will notice them and go, I don't know who that is, but I need to go talk to them. I need to find out what they do. I call that spiritual SEO. So that whether you're online or in person, people notice you because energetically there's a stronger imprint.
Yeah, I think that's very powerful. I mean, that's the area that I'm working with, and as well as that, and it's certainly much less expensive. You know, it's we sort of call it auto magically, right? People show up because of the energy field they have. The phone rings because you're the person they need to talk to, and it gets away from that struggle of having to go find the next client, or having to run another Facebook ad.
Yeah, I do, I'm very busy on the social networks and I get a lot of clients that way, but I post because I have something to say. I don't have a formula. I don't like to do anything that I think, quite frankly, is, at least for me, it would feel manipulative. I'm posting because I have something to say. I do a monthly sort of a forecast that I get a lot of positive feedback about, but I'm not constantly trying to pull people in that way because I don't want to pull on people's energy. In fact, the attitude that I have about my work is I have no competition. We all work our own ways. And if you are karmically meant to work with me, you'll find me. You might also work with other people in my realm. And in fact, I have certain people that I will refer clients to if I feel they're specializing in an aspect of the field more than I do. And they do the same for me. Our attitude is we want our clients to get the best we can give them, and we will draw from our community if we don't feel that we have that piece of the puzzle for them.
Yeah, I like that. I like to work collaboratively as well. So there's some people I just know that can help a client break through, and that's not my skill set. So I send them to that person. So
Right.
I like that kind of approach. I think that's the way of the future. You said something that triggered me about the unique aspect of who you are and how you show up, and that is you say you don't pull on the energy. So I think I heard you say at one time in a previous conversation that you're not in favor so much about affirmations, or did I get that right? Or
It's not that I'm not in favor of them. It's just that the process that I use, which is called Psych K, short for psychological kinesiology, has a deeper effect. When you use affirmations, you're working at the conscious level. So if something hasn't shifted in the subconscious, you have to keep the affirmations going for it to be effective. With Psych K, it's like rewriting the software of your subconscious and locking in a belief such as an affirmation that now that it's locked into your subconscious will continue to work in the background without needing conscious reinforcement. And I've got the basic and advanced Psych K, and I'm quite excited because at the end of April, I'm going to Maple Ridge to get Psych K Pro to get even more tools in the tool belt because I find it's quite a popular tool with my clients.
yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what that is, but I know with my clients, one of the things I'm known for is my deep clearing protocol, which thousands of people have used worldwide to strengthen their energy field and break them free of intrusions into their energy field from any sources known or unknown to them. It works for about 97% of the clients that come to me. But then there's those ones we got to do deeper work with, that there's some sort of trauma or unresolved conflict or core fracture, deeper work that we have to do to, I guess the one way you could describe it is heal the wound. But in the process of teaching them how to do the short clearing after the 21 days of the long clearing, which creates a habit, is one of the phrases I use is to ask and I call it the elemental I, that part that runs your subconscious, right? Your breathing and your heart and all that, and direct it, ask it to run the program 24/7, 365. And
Right.
I've found that when you do that, you direct your subconscious to take it over, it automatically will take it over and run it until it's complete.
It sounds like you're doing something similar. It's just a different approach. And I think one of the things I'm so excited about that's going on all over, because people like yourself, I know other people in the States as well who are doing similar work, is that we now have all these tools that accelerate the processes. We don't spend years anymore in psychoanalysis. We as a species are evolving very quickly. And so there's all these tools and practitioners out there who are able to assist people to move quickly, who are ready to do that. So that's why I say people find the processes they need to find. My approach to habits is quite different in that rather than try to get rid of a habit, I see every subconscious pattern as ultimately protective. The pattern evolved at a certain point in that person's development to try to protect them from what was going on at the time. And rather than just try to stop the habit, I help the person to connect through a process I've developed to connect to the subconscious pattern running the habit, give the pattern an opportunity to become conscious so it can now evaluate from the current moment with what's going on now, whether that pattern and the way it's running is still effective. So, for example, I remember years ago when I worked at the university and I was working at Queen's, and I came home and I sat down in front of my computer and I polished off an entire bag of cookies. And it surprised me because I had no conscious realization of having done this until I looked at the empty bag. And rather than beat myself up for that, I became curious. Why did some part of me need to do that? And I realized that the work I was doing at the time, I had enjoyed my time there for years, but the work I was doing was now taking more energy than I was gaining back in terms of fulfillment. And it was time to let go and move on. So that was a wake-up call for me. And I think a lot of times when we just try to beat a habit down, we're actually missing out on the fact that that's a part of us trying to come to consciousness and give us information if we'll just tune into it and learn about why it's doing what it's doing, instead of trying to suppress it.
Yeah, that's the work that I do in clearing conscious or toxic emotions, which is going to the core issue. In this particular modality, it's usually in the womb, past life, or it's in the, between 0 and 7. Usually has to do with the family of origin, and you just go in and reconfigure whatever it was that was misinterpreted by you as as the child. And you just provide a new opportunity to reframe it, understand it, release the energy of it.
Exactly.
And it brings powerful stuff.
And it is, and I like that approach too, because I'm not a big believer in you have to remember your traumatic experiences to heal from them. I feel sometimes that'll actually reinforce the pattern and push it further down under. What I tend to do instead is say, let's look at what patterns evolved as a coping mechanism. The pattern doesn't know you're not 4 years old anymore. Once through the method that I've developed, it's able to come to consciousness and look out of your eyes and see your body and see the space you're in and see the reality that you've created now, it can start to reevaluate. So, and then it will gradually become part of the adult.
Yeah, I guess we would say in the old terminology, if we were First Nations, we're doing soul retrieval, or if we were psychologists, we would be talking about disassociation and bringing those parts back. So, it's interesting how either through the indigenous cultures or through modern psychology, there's different names for the phenomena.
Well, it's like Walt Whitman said, I am large, I contain multitudes. I think it's actually a sign of high intelligence when people who've gone through trauma, and in our society, trauma is quite common at an early age, they compartmentalize their mind to survive.
Yeah.
And I think it's really very common. And so I basically look at all of us as multifaceted beings and coming into wholeness. I often say to my clients, don't worry, it doesn't all have to happen in this lifetime. You just deal with what's in front of you. I was born with past life recall, and I can remember half a dozen lives where I was working on the patterns I'm working on this time. And so, we are eternal beings. There's no time limit here. You just work on what's in front of you. And I see a lot of North Americans will go to a workshop and it's like, okay, this is going to be it. This is going to fix me. And then they beat themselves up if they didn't have this miraculous experience. You're constantly unfolding. Just allow it. Like Thich Nhat Hanh said in his poem, please call me by my true names. Do not say I will be gone tomorrow, for even today I still arrive. We're in a constant state of becoming. So a lot of it is let go of the timeline. That just creates so much unnecessary stress.
I agree. I like also the other end of the scale, which is we're already whole, sound, and complete, always have been and always will be. We're already fully enlightened. We don't have to do anything, go anywhere, or say anything. It's just a reminder that we are all right in this moment. And if we can love ourselves unconditionally and show up being authentically, guess what? It happens spontaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we think about the world that way, it's a lot less effort. It's a lot less struggle. It's a lot less self-induced suffering, because most of us feel we have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G before we'll feel good, or before we get the reward, or get the job done, or get a higher pay raise. We seem to be so busy inflicting the timeline on ourselves before we allow ourselves to be truly present in the moment.
I think a lot of people, when they start the spiritual path, they do it because they want to be happy. And I think ultimately that's one-dimensional. I think what's far more satisfying than happiness is feeling completely, fully alive, which means embracing grief and fear and all these other emotions just as much. When you don't attach to any of it, it just moves through you and you go, oh, so this is joy. Oh, so this is grief. Oh, I'm having an experience. You don't attach. You just let it move through you. And for me, the way I try to live my life is from the standpoint that absolutely everything that's happening to me is the universe doing its very best to give me everything I need for my development. And that was especially useful when I was traveling through Tibet and Nepal and encountering some challenging situations and just saying, you know what, this is exactly what I need. And everything I'm experiencing, it's funny, when I was traveling through Tibet, after 2 weeks in some pretty primitive conditions, one of our group said, you know, Bonita, you're the only person who never grumbled about anything, because I just saw it as all what it was supposed to be for my development. You know, it's amazing how much more peace we have when we don't rail against what is. And we realize we're walking around in a reflection of our own consciousness anyway. That's quantum physics. It's your dream. It's your reality. Whatever shows up out here, it's a reflection of what's going on inside. You don't like it out here, deal with the patterns internally.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I like the whole idea that you were talking about emotions, that, you know, you learn from them, you don't hang on to them. I talk about them as like being colors or notes on the piano. You know, there's something that's beautiful in the symphony of life. The note, you don't hang on to the note in a symphony, you just feel it and you let it go, because there's yet another note. And even the silence has got beauty in it as well. So this peaceful way that you're showing up, so that whatever is in your face or showing up in a loving way is exactly what the universe wants you to deal with, is a much more peaceful way to get through your life and also your day. So, yeah.
And it's not like scary or difficult ever happens either. And I just go, okay, I get to look at my shadow. You know, part of me I normally want to see but need to see, so I can bring it to consciousness and incorporate it as well.
So do you do most of your work one-on-one, or do you do some group work? I mean, obviously when you do corporate work, you hit some of that's group, but do you do group coaching as well, or do you do masterminding, those sorts of things?
I run workshops and I give talks. I'm certainly open to working in any type of group that works for people. Basically, if somebody says, Bonita, can you do this? I'll find a way to make it work. I do a lot of one-on-one. I do a lot of couples counseling as well. I've worked with families. I've been invited into other organizations to work with their clients, with their employees. So I'm pretty multifaceted in how I work, and I have my online clientele as well, people that reach me from wherever they are in the world. So basically, however people need me to work with them, I'm pretty flexible. I'll find a way to make sure they get what they need.
So as we get near the end of the show, what were the key points that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Well, I think the main thing is to realize that everything you need is inside yourself. Some of it's locked away, And yes, there are methods, and I'm one of the practitioners who can offer methods to help unlock potential, unlock energy and clarity and motivation to move forward, and the ability to connect more deeply with other people in your life too, because the more present you are and the more you fall back in love with yourself, the more you'll let other people in and the deeper connections you'll have personally and professionally. I have a lot of tools to offer. I do travel. I've been opening up my territories at work, so I've given workshops and readings in Kamloops. I've just been in Penticton. This is just the last 2 weekends. I'm happy to bring workshops and talks and one-on-one sessions to other communities as well. And if people want to find me, just type in bonitasummers.com and it'll take you to my new website, psychiclifeandbusinesscoach.com.
Well, it was great to have you on this show. So many similarities. It's exciting to see that this toolbox is arriving in different modalities, and some of it intuitive that we're downloading, some of it that others were learning these skills. So it's nice to know that others are doing this as well, and that we can, collectively make this a better planet to live on as we free ourselves up and each other. So thanks for being on the show. It was great to have you, and I'm sure we'll have you back as you move along, exploring in this area of growth.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Well, bye for now.
Bye.
FindingTheForest.com, Training the Trainers.
A webinar series launching April 15th, 2017.
Tyhson Banighen,
And Courtney Starhart Hale.
Modern Day Shamans.
Training the Tribe.
Join the evolution.
If you are looking for a tribe of light workers who are helping each other to deliver their awesome message to the world, then join us.
At FindingTheForest.com.
Interview on The Wellness Show to learn more about who we are. Courtney Starhart Hale.
Author, artist, shaman, activist, and clan mother. Tyhson Banighen.
The energy detective, artist, author, shaman, environmentalist, and mentor.
Bridging ancient and modern.
The evolution is here and now.
Is this for you?
If you're a change agent, an empath, light worker, visionary, or a heart-centered person,
Imagine working with a group of like-minded people whose goal is to make millions to reach millions and create a new planetary system that benefits all of life.
are you in?
Go to FindingTheForest.com.
Our special program,
An ongoing series for trainers to discover their unique gifts.
helping others manifest their gifts into the world.
Join a community of like-minded people to shift the world together.
What you get.
Get rid of inner conflict and doubt.
Map a beautiful path for your life with the sacred science of spirit.
Use your gifts to turbo boost your abilities.
Learn to drive your mental vehicle.
Receive reliable GPS directions to your destiny.
Join now and get a free book
Urban Shaman 1, Love.
at www.findingtheforest.com.
Launching April 15th, 2017.
A training for trainers.
Webinar series.
See you there.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca, and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.